Welcome back, gearheads and classic car enthusiasts. Today, we're diving into the world of automotive engineering perfection with a countdown of the top 20 mid-engine classic car marvels. From the sleek lines of Italian icons to the innovative designs of British legends, these mid-engine beauties have redefined performance and style over the decades. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a passionate admirer, get ready to be blown away by these engineering masterpieces. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more exciting content on classic cars. Now let's get into it. Mid-engine cars tend to stand out from the crowd, but they don't have to be supercars to capture attention and imaginations. 1. Matra Jet V, 1965. The Jet started life as the work of its designer René Bonnet, but sales were slow and Matra picked up the baton in 1964 to create the Jet V. Like the original from 1962, the V used a mid-mounted Renault 8 engine, and a Gordini-tuned motor was soon offered to boost performance of the lightweight sports car. The mid-engine design of the Jet and its excellent power-to-weight ratio led Matra further into motorsport, culminating in entries at Le Mans and Formula One in later years. 2. Lamborghini Miura, 1966. The Miura proved to be a pivotal moment in the history of Lamborghini and the supercar genre. It gave Ferruccio Lamborghini the snub to Ferrari he wanted, and it marked the start of the mid-engine revolution for high-performance cars. Even Ferrari was forced to follow suit when it replaced the Daytona with the 365 BB. Lamborghini's approach to the mid-engine design of the Miura was unusual because its V12 motor was mounted transversely and above the gearbox. This gave the car superb lines, but it also made the handling less forgiving. 3. Unipower GT, 1966. Easily one of the best mini-derived cars of the 1960s, the Unipower GT took the humble city car's engine and gearbox and placed them behind the driver. It was a ready-made solution to creating a mid-engine car that proved very effective in the GT, giving it superb handling and an excellent power-to-weight ratio. Business dealings were less of a success, and the Unipower name had faded by 1970. With fewer than 100 GTs built. A shame, because with a Cooper S1275C engine, the Unipower was good for 120 miles per hour. 4. Lotus Europa, 1967. Ever alert to an opportunity, Colin Chapman made great use of the Renault 16's engine and gearbox to transplant them into the Europa, the first mid-engined Lotus road car. It resulted in superb handling and strong performance despite the modest 78 brake horsepower 1,470 cubic centimeters motor. 0 to 60 miles per hour came up in 9.3 seconds and top speed was 117 miles per hour. The twin-cam adopted the Elon's 105 brake horsepower 1,558 cubic centimeters motor and gave the Europa an even better turn of speed, taking just 7.7 seconds to dash off 0 to 60 miles per hour. Find a special from 1972 on and it has the later 126 brake horsepower engine that turns the Europa into a mini supercar. 5. Ferrari Dino, 1968. The Dino 206 was the first Ferrari-built mid-engine road car, beating the 365 BB to showrooms by some 5 years. Like the Miura, the Dino placed its engine transversely across the chassis, giving the 206 and its 246 successor a compact size. With its 178 brake horsepower 2.0-liter V6 engine, the 206 was a toe in the water and only around 150 were made. The follow-up 246 that used a 195 brake horsepower 2.4-liter version of the same engine proved a big hit, and 3,569 GT and Targa-roofed GTS models were made. 6. VW Porsche 914, 1969. The only car to officially be sold as a joint Volkswagen and Porsche project, the 914 was also the German team's first mid-engine road car. Behind the cockpit lay 1.7-1.8 or 2.0-liter flat-4 engines with up to 100 brake horsepower and 120 miles per hour. While some questioned the looks, there was no doubt the handling was more than up to the job. while the removable Targa roof panel showed this car was aimed squarely at the US market. A six-cylinder model called the 914/6 was also offered, but proved a tough sell, and only 3360 were made even though it had a proper Porsche engine from the 911T. 7. Fiat X1/9, 1972. It's a testament to how good the handling was for the mid-engine Fiat X1/9 that the only major criticism of the early 1.3-liter cars was 74 brake horsepower, as they felt underpowered. When the sharp-edged sports car gained the more powerful 84 brake horsepower 1.5-liter motor, it delivered on its promise. The bigger engine also brought a 5-speed gearbox in place of the earlier 4-speed unit. The X1/9 proved a long-lived model for Fiat, and was later wholly built by Bertone from 1982 onwards. More than 140,000 times 1 divided by 9s were produced, proving there was always demand for an affordable mid-engine sports car. 8. Lancia Monte Carlo, 1975. Lancia's Monte Carlo was originally codenamed X1/20, and could have ended up as a big sister to the Fiat X1/9. However, it joined Lancia's stable in 1975, and used the same engines as the Beta range. For the US, this meant a modest 1.8-liter unit, but European cars received a much stronger 118 brake horsepower 2.0-liter motor. Production of the Monte Carlo had to be paused between 1978 and 1980 to sort a brake problem where the front wheels locked up too easily. This was solved by removing the brake servo that was not needed on a car with much less weight over the front wheels because of its mid-engine layout. 9. Lotus Esprit, 1976. Lotus made a serious step up from the Europa when it introduced its second mid-engine road car, the Esprit. It looked every inch a rival to Ferrari and Lamborghini models, and the handling of the British car was on a par or better than competitors. However, it took until the 207 brake horsepower turbo model in 1980 for the Esprit to gain the power to match the looks. A Peter Stevens restyle in 1987 kept the Esprit looking fresh, and Lotus replaced the original Citroën Transaxle with one from Renault to cope with the increasing power. Julian Thompson updated the looks again in 1993, and the Esprit lasted until 2001. When it offered true supercar pace thanks to a 345 brake horsepower 3.5-liter V8 engine. 10. BMW M1, 1979. Until the hybrid i8 introduced in 2014, the M1 was the only mid-engine road car BMW had ever produced. Originally developed for motor racing, delays in development meant the moment had passed before it had a chance to compete. Instead, BMW came up with the Procar series to support Formula One, so it had the opportunity to show the car off on track. The M1 was unusual in having a straight 6-engine mounted midships. The 277 HP motor, which was later used in the M635 CSI, necessitated a long rear deck. 11. Pontiac Fiero, 1984. The Pontiac Fiero may have been criticized in period for its dull performance, but it is notable for being the first mass-produced mid-engine sports car built in the US. The clean styling and mid-engine design promised a great deal, but General Motors saddled the Fiero with a lazy 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine that made only 92 brake horsepower. Even when the Fiero gained V6 engines, it was not enough to lift sales or interest in the car, and the Fiero experiment lasted a mere 5 years. In that time, Pontiac sold around 335,000 Fieros, with sales tailing off drastically in the final 2 years of production. 12. Toyota MR2 MK1, 1984. When it looked like the mainstream sports car was all but dead, Toyota shocked the world with the mid-engined MR2. It even acknowledged the engine layout in its name, which stood for midship runabout 2-seater. A zingy 1.6-liter twin-cam engine gave lively performance, while the handling was neat and nimble. A big hit around the world, the first-generation MR2 sold a total of 166,104 units, and the follow-up MK2 and MK3 models proved every bit as popular and good to drive. 13. McLaren F1, 1992. The pinnacle of mid-engine cars? Quite possibly. Thanks to the McLaren F1's 240 miles per hour top speed, stunning acceleration and its sonorous 6.1-liter V12 motor supplied by BMW. In its no-compromise search to be the purest mid-engine sports car, the F1 even used gold leaf to line the engine bay, because it's the best material for reflecting heat. The engine used in the F1 ended up weighing more than designer Gordon Murray originally specified, but BMW offset this by making it more powerful. 14. MGF 1995. The Mazda MX-5 may have been credited with reigniting the affordable sports car market, but the MGF was a more sophisticated option. Key to the MG's design was its mid-engine layout that gave it superb handling, helped by the lightweight K-Series engine and hydrogous suspension fitted to the F models. Later TFs swapped this for a more conventional setup. Pick of the bunch for the MGF was the VVC model that came with 143 brake horsepower courtesy of variable valve timing. If you couldn't stretch to a Lotus Elise, the MGF was a very worthy second choice. 15. Lotus Elise 1996. Rarely have the fortunes of a company rested more heavily on a single car, but the mid-engine Lotus Elise was a brilliant return to form for the firm and secured its future. Using the same Rover K-Series engine as the MGF, the Elise mounted it in a bonded aluminum tub that made for an extremely light, strong base. The result was zesty performance, and amazing handling allied to a supple ride. The Elise gave rise to numerous different versions based around its mid-engine core, including the hardtop Exige and a 350 brake horsepower 3.5-liter supercharged V6 model capable of 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3.8 seconds and 175 miles per hour. 16. Porsche Boxster 1996. It may have taken Porsche 20 years to offer a follow-up mid-engine model to the 914, but the Boxster was more than worth the wait. The engine layout dictated it was strictly a two-seater, but this offered buyers a much more affordable way into Porsche ownership, and it caught the wave of roadsters coming to the market in the mid-1990s. Using a mid-engine design made the Boxster very easy to drive for first-timers to the brand. This opened up a huge new market to Porsche and filled its coffers. The only gripe was the chassis could clearly cope with more power than the original 2.5-liter motor's 201 brake horsepower. Porsche duly obliged with the 250 brake horsepower S in 1999. 17. Strathcarron 1999. Named after Lord Strathcarron, who founded the company, the firm's SC5A and 6 models used a strong, light aluminum chassis tub. In keeping with the lightweight theme, a 1,200 cubic centimeters Triumph motorcycle engine was chosen, and it conveniently fitted neatly behind the cockpit. With 125 brake horsepower powering a 550 kilograms, 1,213 pounds car, performance was vivid. The quality and dynamic ability of the Strathcarron cars was never in doubt, but changes to the single vehicle approval legislation in the UK stopped it in its tracks. In the end, only around 60 cars were built. 18. Noble M12 2000. Lee Noble already had several notable cars to his name when he launched the M12 in 2000. Part of its brilliance was in the everyday simplicity of its mid-mounted Ford the 5.6 engine. This unit made it simple to slot motor and gearbox straight into the Noble's strong chassis, while a brace of turbochargers boosted power to 310 brake horsepower in the original model. Such was Noble's expertise in making mid-engine cars that handled sublimely. The M12 grew in power and stature all the way to the M400 with a 425 brake horsepower engine. 19. Renault Clio V6 2001. Clearly designed as a nod to the R5 Turbo, the Clio V6 was an equally outrageous machine. It crammed in a tuned version of the Laguna's 3.0-liter V6 engine to where you'd normally find the rear seats in a Clio Super Mini. Much of this work was undertaken by TWR, and the result was a car with a justifiable reputation for edgy handling. Changes to the Clio V6 increased power from 227 brake horsepower to 252 brake horsepower, but more importantly the Phase 2 models from 2003 had a longer wheelbase, wider front track, and stiffer subframes to significantly improve handling and stability. 20. Smart Roadster, 2003. The Smart Roadster was, and remains, one of the most affordable ways into mid-engine sports car ownership you'll find. It's not quick by any stretch of the imagination, taking 15 seconds to get to 60 miles per hour from rest if you choose the 61 brake horsepower version. The 80 brake horsepower model needs only 10.6 seconds, but feels brisker thanks to the car's low-slung stature and the whizzy nature of the 3-cylinder turbocharged 698 cubic centimeters motor right behind your spine. The Roadster came to an end in late 2006. A plan was hatched to revive it as an MG and build the car in the UK, but this came to nothing. And there you have it, folks. Our countdown of the top 20 mid-engine classic car marvels. Each one of these cars represents a unique blend of design, innovation, and sheer driving pleasure. Which one was your favorite? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with your fellow car enthusiasts. Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe for more deep dives into the world of classic cars. Until next time, keep those engines roaring and your passion for cars alive.